Hey, this is gonna be a very brief statement on why my server is gone. I deleted it this morning. I don't know what else to say. I deleted it this morning. There's a lot of issues. I'm not feeling that I want to run a server anymore. I'm not feeling that I'm even capable of it, and I'm being told I'm not capable of it. There's a lot of issues that come to my mind personally outside of the very obvious ones, but I guess some of the other ones that I could list are that a lot of my rules were not respected often. I had to fight to get people to listen to me when I tried to get them to follow said rules. Sometimes for hours, and a lot of the members on my server had an issue with being passive aggressive to each other. And that's been since the start of the server. I try to handle it as I can where I need to, but overall ignore it, because compared to like actual violations, it's not nearly usually as big a deal. It's just someone who clearly, needs to take time out or such like that. Except the prevalence of those type of behaviors was starting to become an everyday thing, and unfortunately I don't want to see that. And other server members don't want to see that. They're not comfortable with it. How many times in a week I open up the logs and I see a deleted message that is very obviously referencing someone else or something they've done or said is beyond me, because I don't know how some individuals could feel so comfortable doing that. That I didn't want to deal with that anymore, because it's exhausting. It's exhausting having to essentially emotionally regulate other people, Was it a nice space for talking? Yeah, sure. For those who talked regularly, and for those who were active in the server, and from what I could gather, any other individuals of which I can remember, the majority were quite nice. Majority had good interactions with each other, to my knowledge. Were there some members who didn't get along so well? Of course, but that's to be expected. On the whole, the hindrance was not so big that people were vehemently upset at all times. It was not the case. But there was a general issue with people regulating themselves. There was also some larger issues going on between the staff, outside of even just fighting, that I'm not comfortable with the existence of, and the only way to escape it was to delete the server. It's actually really weird, because the server introduced me to a lot of great people, but also at the same time, because there was a server, I was quite often forced to pick sides and such, not even in fights, but just in general, because for the last few days I felt that the server, in its regular members, has split into two sides. I never liked that. What are we, the capitalists and Montagues? I don't like that. I'm not saying that everyone has to get along with everyone, but having such an obvious divide in the server made me really uncomfortable. So on that front, there was issues with passive aggressiveness, there was issues between myself, my moderators, and my admins privately that you guys won't know of, and I'm not wishing to disclose here now. There was a lot of issues. My rules, as I said, weren't listened to, and to get someone to follow my rules at times could be a fight that lasted a few hours. And sometimes some server members would then take it and, I don't know how to say, but embody their disappointment or such, if you will. And I don't know how to describe it. When I don't know, you tell a child no, and then they put on like an artificial frown for like half the day afterwards. It's kind of like that, you know? And it felt like, again, an additional pressure for simply doing what I should have been doing, which is moderating, of which I often tried to step out of, because one, I had other moderators and admins there, but two, I never really felt like I knew the job well enough or that I was good enough to do it. And at times as well, I also felt that maybe people would have a lot more respect to hear it come from someone else than from me, because, well, you know, are people going to take my words seriously? I don't think so. In the example I've been shown, when I have stepped up, there are rare occasions where, again, my words are taken seriously, but it felt a lot more often that I'd have to send someone else to go fight the battles for me, simply because I never really felt, or in demonstration I was not shown any understanding or respect on that front. As I said, there were some members who did respect me, but more often than not, when I dealt with an issue myself, it would come back up less than an hour later anyway. Whereas if someone else, I don't know, Owie or such, dealt with it for me, the issue would be gone for at least a few days. There was a discrepancy there in the different ways that my staff were treated, and some of them had much easier job than others. On the whole, I think my staff were well liked. There's one individual who I could name now who maybe was not so well liked. I've been at disagreements with him over the way he's run the server as well, because I wish he would have told me all the stuff he was doing, because I'm then having to fix issues for him when he can no longer do it himself. And such like that, and I know that other members had issue with him too, and I don't know the right way to go forward. I didn't want to try finding it. Yesterday I went to, on a trip to Wales, I went to go to the coast. It was actually really nice, and I had a lot of fun. And I was really happy. I felt really happy. And I think coming back from that, with the feeling of happiness, and then opening up the server and seeing everything that was going on then after, I kind of had a deep realization, hey, this is not what I want. I don't want to be in this type of space. The individuals by themselves are quite nice, but they don't work well together necessarily all of the time. And sitting in the car, reading through it all, yeah, I didn't want to be part of a space like that. It wasn't nice. And I'd been sitting for weeks now anyway on the feeling that people don't like me. I don't know where this feeling comes from. I have general feeling that people don't like me, and it might be true, I don't know. But this morning, before I delete the server, I discovered that it has some truth to it. There are members who don't like me, and that's fine. But in combination with absolutely everything else, it was the final straw for me. I don't get it. I can't understand anyone right now. Why? Why, I don't know. There's also the issue with moderating the actions of minors. It's one thing and it's another thing, because, you know, all in all, I want to treat every member as equally as I can, which would mean ideally no age disparity in treatment, but as well the things that minors do can be a little more dangerous because of the consequence it can have back on them as minors. So quite often there was conversations on the server about feet and such like that, and I had to fight with myself every day. Is that foot fetish like mentioning, is that something I should be moderating, or are they just actually having a conversation about feet, which in itself is weird but not punishable. And it's such like that, and some of the images they would send as well. Again, I would be deleting some of them, but they'd just send it again anyway, and I had to really ask myself, would I be comfortable with this if this was an adult? Am I singling them out because they're minors, or am I actually performing correct minor safety? Again, in the end, I just didn't want to deal with it anymore, because I didn't know how to. And that's all of the reasons I can think of right now as to why my server is gone. I'm exhausted. I have a future. I hope. I have a future. I'm going to go to university. I'm going to do some amazing things. But I gotta work towards that future. And it's hard for me to stay motivated and to feel motivated when such an atmosphere exists, and it feels worse to know that my hands are the filth that created it. And that's how I feel about the server. Was it the worst space in the world? Absolutely not. I've seen what the other IDV Discord servers look like. I'm not a fool. I know how much worse it could have been, and I know I'm lucky to have the server I have now. Except I don't have it anymore because I deleted it, but that's okay. I'm lucky to have had the server that I had, but it's not good enough. Moderating my server was more like trying to moderate the fights between a group of friends than it was to actually moderate the server and keep the space safe. A disagreement between 2-3 people should not have been the standard report procedure. We should have been dealing with various other things. Unfortunately, because my server had so little large problems, it meant that we had so many smaller problems to deal with that when a larger problem did come up, we were already too overloaded with the smaller issues. And I think that's all of my feelings. I want to put myself first, because part of being a content creator is you expect a little bit of this, a little bit of that, it's part of the job and all that shit, but I'm not accepting that part of my role as a content creator is to try to teach people how to be decent in online spaces. Especially when I have, or my other staff have tried to help and have just been ignored. I'm sorry to those of you only who were not able to make your friends before it went. It was less than 15 minutes, I believe, from the time I made my mind up to the time I did it. I'm not sorry for deleting the server. There's a good chance I won't ever make another, because that's not the type of environment I want to foster again. Am I absolutely perfect in all of this? No. By no means am I saying that I was perfect. Everyone should have followed my example. I would argue my example is one of the worst you could follow. But the server is not coming back. I've not, mass kicked everyone. It's gone. It's fully gone. I hope you guys will find a safe community somewhere else that you can make friends and such on Discord, but mine won't be it, because I don't have the time in the day. I don't have the strong mental will to do that anymore. I am a full-time student who also somehow manages to post multiple times a week every week, who's also looking to get a proper formal job. I don't have time anymore. I think that's all I have to say. Thank you.